Thank you. Yeah, and this is super exciting for us. This is probably the fourth Verge pitch we've done, first in North Carolina. So thanks to everyone for being here and learning a little bit about us. My name's Connor Burt. I'm the head of growth at Lessonly. And we started the business about 2.5 years ago with a very, very simple premise. That premise is growing businesses spend too much time, effort, and money doing two things, getting employees up to speed and keeping them there. And the existing technology that lives in that market is outdated. It's really poor from a user experience perspective, and it's not consumer grade. And so that's where Lessonly is birthed from. And so what Lessonly is, it's software to help businesses teach and learn from their employees. Our goal is to unlock the potential of every employee in every business that is looking to really invest in employee development and employee onboarding, and more specifically, help them get the information that they need to do their jobs extremely well. The way we end up doing that for growing organizations typically falls into three buckets. And the first need for the companies that we work with starts with typically employee onboarding. So if you've ever onboarded an employee, you probably know the stress, the anxiety, and also, just the overall process that it takes to get somebody up to speed about all the things that they need to know to do their job well. And so with the organizations that we work with, typically new employee onboarding through Lessonly is one of the big use cases that we've seen so far. The second, as you think about a growing organization, typically falls into the revenue side of the business. So how are we selling the product and how are we servicing it? Two of the most critical areas that we see any business that we interact with really has. And so Lessonly is a tool that helps sharpen your salespeople and sharpen your customer service people. So getting into more of the how. So the really cool thing about Lessonly is that anybody can use it. If you can write an email, you can probably create a lesson. And a lesson is a combination of digital assets, simple video, images, quizzes, and text. And so every business we work with is kind of taking out the institutional knowledge, putting it into lessons, and then automating the distribution and the tracking of that learning material as you're bringing on new employees. And as you're on an ongoing basis continuing to develop them over time. So in a couple of minutes, let me just tell you kind of where we've been, how we're doing, and where we're going. So the first thing that's most important to us is our clients. And clients are having extreme success with the tool. If we look at someone like Movoto, Movoto is a competitor to Zillow, if you're familiar with the real estate website. Before they used Lessonly, it took them about 8 weeks to onboard a new employee. It now takes them 4. At the same time, the groups that use Lessonly have about 50% increase in productivity measures, and that's across the board for clients using Lessonly. At the same time, the employee experience is super important. So you might be familiar with Lyft, the competitor to Uber. They're training all of their drivers through a product like Lessonly, and the feedback we get, you can read it on the screen, is fantastic. And so, we break down the financials, we break down the business side of things. We've grown from 5 people a year ago to 21. A lot of that is in sales and client success. Secured about $1.1 million in funding. I'm going to skip that one and tell you if I have time, but last year had 850% revenue growth. This year on pace to be about 3x the size we were last year. And the Cupcake Factory is our analogy for our customer acquisition model. We've got a world-class sales development team. About 50% of our new clients come from an outbound, prospecting team that's humming along, and at the same time, we have a unique ingredient on the inbound side that's really driving new customer acquisition, and feel like we're getting to the point where it's a very repeatable model. And at the end of the day, what we're most proud of is our clients, as I mentioned. When you look at some of the logos on this screen, folks like Lyft and Thumbtack and FanDuel, people raising a lot of money, growing fast, and Lessonly is an important part of that as they continue to invest in their employees. And we're really excited to be along those journeys with them. So thanks for coming out and having me. Appreciate it.
Want more secrets from inside the minds of entrepreneurs and innovators around the world? Subscribe to our YouTube channel here and click the link below. We'll send you our best interviews and strategies for growing your business.